Having a tracheostomy tube or endotracheal tube affects the normal function of the upper airway due to impairing the cough reflex, increasing mucus production, and impairing the actions of the cilia. Secretion management may need to be utilized. One such method of clearing secretions is tracheal suctioning. There are two forms of tracheal suctioning. They are deep suctioning and shallow suctioning. Knowing when to use each type of suctioning is vital when trying to manage a person's airways. Join me this week as I discuss deep suctioning and shallow suctioning. In shallow suctioning, the catheter is advanced to a depth which is equivalent to the length of the endotracheal tube or tracheostomy tube plus the adapter. Once the suction catheter is in place, negative pressure is applied and the suction catheter is withdrawn. For home tracheostomy tube care, using a suction machine will be the device which generates the negative pressure. Since shallow suctioning requires a person to know how long the artificial airway is, there are a few ways to get this information. First, the tracheostomy tube or endotracheal tube can be measured. When measuring, please include the length of the adapter. Alternatively, for a tracheostomy tube, a person can measure the length of the inner cannula. Once the measurement is known, then the catheter can be advanced to the same length. And finally, if a spare tracheostomy tube or endotracheal tube is available, a suction catheter can be passed through the artificial airway. When the suction catheter reaches the end of the tube, the length on the suction catheter can be noted. During suctioning, the same length which has been noted on the suction catheter should be used. Deep suctioning is defined as the insertion of a suction catheter into the airway until resistance is met, followed by the withdrawal of the catheter by 1 centimeter. Negative pressure is applied and the suction catheter is pulled out of the airway. To clarify, when inserting a suction catheter into the airway, the catheter can be advanced until it encounters the carina. The carina is the base of the trachea. Once the suction catheter hits the carina, the catheter should be withdrawn 1 centimeter. Then, negative pressure should be used. While applying negative pressure, the catheter should then be removed from the airway. According to the American Association for Respiratory Care, shallow suctioning should be used first. Deep suctioning should only be used when shallow suctioning is ineffective. Some institutes, such as the University of California at Davis, believe deep suctioning should only be used in an emergency. Deep suctioning on a regular basis will cause injury to the airway. One area which may be damaged is the carina. Because deep suctioning requires that the suction catheter be inserted until it encounters resistance, this means each time the suction catheter is inserted into the airway during deep suctioning, the carina is hit with the suction catheter. This causes damage to the carina. Over time, this will scar the carina and adjacent areas. Also, since deep suctioning irritates the carina and adjacent tissues, this will cause more mucus to be produced. Thus, overusing deep suctioning can increase secretions and may increase the need for suctioning. Additionally, advancing a suction catheter deep into the airway may lead to severely damaging the lung and may cause the lung to collapse. When inserting the suction catheter, it is possible for the suction catheter to miss the carina. Instead, the catheter may continue into the right or left lung. The suction catheter can injure the lung tissue. Moreover, it is possible for the catheter to puncture the lung and cause the lung to collapse. Please note, suctioning is only meant to clear secretions from the tracheostomy tube or endotracheal tube. Suctioning is not meant to clear mucus from the lungs. Inserting the suction catheter deep into the airway will not clear the lungs of mucus. It will only cause damage to the airway, which may in turn cause more mucus to be produced. In several research studies which looked at deep and shallow suctioning, it was noted that about 80% of the time, deep suctioning cleared secretions after passing the catheter one time through the artificial airway. On the other hand, shallow suctioning often only cleared all secretions on the first pass of the catheter about 56% of the time. This means when using shallow suctioning, usually the suction catheter will have to be passed 2 times through the artificial airway before the secretions are cleared. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe down below. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye-bye! Several YouTube viewers have written me telling me about horrible experiences their family members endured while being suctioned. They told me how their family members cried and their bodies violently jerked while being suctioned. Folks, this should not happen. Suctioning may be uncomfortable, but it should not be painful. If suctioning is painful, the suction catheter is being advanced too far into the airway. Please ask the medical staff to perform shallow suctioning. Unfortunately, one man decided he could not tolerate the pain every time the medical staff rammed the suction catheter deep into his airways. He asked for his tracheostomy tube to be removed. He died 2 days later, leaving behind his precious daughter. May his memory be a blessing.